and TvZ is my favorite matchup. So I'm so jazzed to see it all
TvZ
happen.
is your favorite matchup for a good reason. Now,
Because it's the best matchup.
we did have a bit of an interesting situation with the fact that Zest got walked over by DRG, so DRG might be able to kind of sneak his way through this if he can beat FanTaSy. So that would be absolutely, I'm sure, make his day a lot nicer, not having to play versus Zest and still getting the win considered. Because Zest actually just showed up. He fell asleep, as is predicted. That's usually that. If a pro gamer doesn't show up to a tournament, it's probably a safe bet that they're asleep. So, I mean, it happens to everyone, but we'll just move on by that. He will be playing in the losers match. That means we'll have a live versus Zest to follow this up. So 3 more best of 5s for the evening. And then, yeah, we'll just get on with introducing the players. The map is Thunderbird, no surprise, spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map. It's player 1's FanTaSy.
And his opponent in the bottom right. I'm fighting the urge to say he's on Team MVP. It's DongRaeGu.
Is he on the Afreeca team, or?
Oh, that's a good question. I gotta pop open his Liquipedia page really quick, because I mean he's not a player that we run into every day, is he?
No, he's
DRG.
not.
Well,
he's either teamless or on Afreeca, I want to say.
He is on Afreeca S2 apparently, according to Liquipedia. So,
well, that's really
good
cool.
to see him playing well. I will say I got to make this joke because you were saying that Zest was maybe asleep earlier. There is a map now in the map pool called World of Sleepers.
Maybe
should we just go ahead
there.
I was going to say, should we just go ahead and rename it to World of Zest?
Perhaps we should indeed. So at least Zest will be well rested for his match, I guess.
Let's hope. So DRG going with a really standard opening. We only see 4 Lings coming out, so no crazy early aggression. Getting the 2 Queens out. Very standard 2-base play from the Zerg initially. Natural expansion down for FanTaSy. I mean, these guys setting us up for what could be a pretty decent long game match. There's no 12 pool. There's no double proxy racks with Marauders coming out. This could just be a good test of skill, which I think probably favors FanTaSy at this point, unless you disagree strongly.
I do not. I think after this match, we'll know exactly where DRG's at. I mean, he could be laddering like nonstop, like a god for all we know, and just being like, I'm going to come out and win the next tournament. And so we'll see if that's the case, or whether he is just like, sure, I'll play in this tournament, even though I'm not super active at the moment until maybe the next season starts or something like that. Either way, though, he did say that he wanted to be a pro in SC2 again, so we'll see if he can make it happen versus FanTaSy. So far, loses just the 1 Ling to the Reaper.
Yeah, and gets that 3rd base down, which is always nice. The Reaper tries to deny that drone from getting over, but DRG moving that drone over in very good time. Getting
Absolutely.
the 3rd down. But, wow, 3rd already down for FanTaSy as well. It is in the main, but... you're a bold.
Some Terrans even go for the 3rd on location on Thunderbird, just because it is such a defensible location. And Zergs sometimes don't check in there, but FanTaSy just going for it safe on the high ground. The one thing I have something I'm excited for about this match and something I'm worried about.
Do tell.
I'm very excited for if we get good old bio TvZ. What more can you ask for with an old player, with old players like FanTaSy and DongRaeGu? Classic bio TvZ. Give me it. I'm a little worried that we might get some of the new age mech, and DongRaeGu is gonna be like, "What is this?" and then it's just gonna die to it. But we are already seeing bio coming out of FanTaSy.
Yeah, stim down, almost certainly going to be a bio play. Clear in space for that 2nd barracks on the reactor. So yeah, I think you're going to get your wish here, man. Bio versus...
DRG, make some mutas, make some mutts.
So we saw DRG going for that early Overlord speed. And this is a play that I have seen more and more over the last couple months. It seems to be getting much more popular with Zerg players to drop pneumatized Carapace as soon as they possibly can.
With the latest patch, it's just a much better option now too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Super cool to see DRG staying up with the most modern trends, at least. Maybe he has been laddering more than we might have thought.
Yeah, knowing is half the battle. But did DRG did not see that base. He did not see the 3rd of FanTaSy, despite that Overlord going in there.
Interesting. And I think he saw the barracks going up, but maybe not the third barracks.
No, I guess he did in a sense. It's tough to say what he really saw. But the
Yeah.
third base timing, still a little bit of a mystery for him, though. Although he does not seem to be phased at all. I guess he probably has sniffed it out. He's like, fourth base on the way, drones, a Bane nest, and then my 1-1 upgrades on the way, which are actually a little bit ahead of the Terrans.
Which is not too bad at all. Yeah, nice work from DRG so far. He's been able to push away these Hellions with creeps, by the way. Terrifying already. 5.5 minutes in, already pushing across halfway across the map and spread so widely as well. I hope he keeps that up. I love to see a Zerg, especially a returning Zerg, who is amazing with their creep spread.
Oh, absolutely. Someone, for example, sort of maybe similar in the same boat. Qualifier yesterday, Lazira, he didn't make it through the qualifier. He kind of got smashed, but man, was his creep spread good.
It's so underrated, and we as observers, I think it's very easy to just sort of ignore it because we have complete map vision. But for those Zerg players, if you've got creep all over the map, it is a world of difference, and putting in the extra effort to get those tumors down really pays off. In so many different ways.
It's like a map hack almost. And some Zerg spread creep so quick that I'm surprised they don't get motion sickness.
Definitely. All right, so
I love
hatchery
this from DRG. It's the fact that he's being so mobile with his lings already out on the map, planning a counterattack. FanTaSy maybe going to be looking to go on in versus his opponent here, but could be surprised there's 30 lings in your natural. However, that's not the case. It's a wall.
Oh, thank goodness, because yeah, that was really good timing by DRG. As soon as he saw that army on his creep, he moved out for the run by. The wall was up, and now there's going to be some pressure, but those Zerg are going to be coming from the back, drawing this.
There we go, nice surround
Gets
on
a
those
full
tanks.
surround on
Lings getting
both
a
of
good
those
surround.
tanks.
Oh, that looks good for DRG so far, shutting down that attack, keeping his fourth. Pretty unscathed there. I mean, FanTaSy's attack just got shut down.
Yeah, really nice defense by DRG. He's already started his 2-2, which is going to be just barely ahead
on the
armor
way.
is
Oh,
finishing up.
yes. Classic
All your wishes are coming
TvZ.
true, LaughNgamez.
This is fantastic. This is what I wanted. It's like, are we going to get it? Do we really get it? And looks
Absolutely.
like we might. FanTaSy going to be going for a drop. Very classic Terran play as well. Going to be trying to hit that third base, although some units got unloaded a little bit too early there. So they're not quite in position. Might be a bit of a pain for DRG to actually deal with those Marines on the other side. He's bringing Queens over, though. And
yeah, he should be able to defend.
Yeah.
7
on the
Mutalisks
way.
make it maybe, 7 Mutalisks, 2-2. Now, 7 is a pretty good number of Mutalisks. Usually I like to see about 10, but with DRG's control, I'm sure he can make magic happen.
30 mutas. That's just, I want to see it. If it's the classic TvZ, that the Zerg does not stop making mutas.
That would be fantastic.
Give it 30 mutas, a whack load of banelings. FanTaSy doing
Thor's,
some 6 splits.
Yeah, Thor's already on the way, though, for FanTaSy, which is going to be a pretty hard counter to any massive muta packs.
Look at this.
But a nice engagement.
Going off creep. Wow. Just deciding, FanTaSy, you don't got enough to stop this. I'm just going to, go ahead and pick off your tanks. Maybe get some medibacks while I'm at it as well. Beautiful play there by DRG. And he's just running free.
What an engagement. And yeah, you could not be right, man. All the tanks gone. Medivac's very low health now. The have arrived, which will help fight some of this Mutalisk play, but it's so tough to make Thor's work when you've got good creep spread combined with speedlings.
Yeah, there's already 2-2 on the way for, a 2-2 lead for DongRaeGu, so he's going to have that as well, which is going to be very nice for him. If I can see one thing from DongRaeGu, I know I was joking all about the fact that I want to see him just like make mutas for days and everything. Starting an infestation pit and getting into hive tech as soon as possible would be really good. He's got so much room to breathe here, and he's done a great job defending so far. Getting into hive tech would be an absolutely fantastic step for him, not to stay on, say, mutas and lings and veins too long this game.
Yeah.
Although he might just want to kill FanTaSy. Oh my god, he's going for it. The madman. Lings running forward. They don't care if it's a minefield. They're just going through. Banelings rolling in for days. FanTaSy going to have to do some splits, but Banelings crashing on in. They're getting some pretty darn good connections. The Planetary under fire. 15, 17 SCVs going down. So far, the Planetary is standing strong, but that might not be the case for long as DRG is pretty much killing everything of FanTaSy's here. And I think he actually just took game number 1.
What an absolute roll this has been. There's the GG from FanTaSy, and DongRaeGu brings it back with an incredible game number 1.
Oh, DongRaeGu's like, hey, Zest, You should be lucky you got a that I just got to walk over. Saved you some
didn't have to
embarrassment.
face- The classic, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in
You're trapped in here with me.
I've been nervously, I've got this 100 won coin in my hand, and I've been nervously flipping it around the entire game, waiting for DRG to like make some mistake, and the coin just kept turning quicker and quicker because I was so nervous the whole game. Didn't make a mistake, kept pushing with the Link Bane Muta, and was so ready to go.
Beautiful
oh, dude,
there.
DRG fighting.
What a god.
Or I guess I'm in Korea. DRG fighting.
Beautifully done just by these players. I mean, FanTaSy, I still think his TvZ is really good, but DRG was just like, no, you're not just going to take me down like that. You're going to have to work hard for this one. And
Defending
all right,
the drops, putting on the pressure, and good. Both players ready to go for game number 2 on World of Sleepers LE. This is a map we didn't see last time because it was banned out. This is a really fascinating map, LaughNgamez.
Is there those inhibitor zone generators?
No inhibitor zones, but I'll still give this one a pass because the tile set is gorgeous.
Oh,
there's amazing
I'm looking at it right now. I haven't seen too much of this map.
Oh, it's beautiful. Let's introduce the players, then we can talk about it a little bit.
All right. Anyway, here we are, spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map. Pardon me. It's player 1's FanTaSy.
And his opponent with, I think, a surprise victory in game number 1 in the bottom right, bottom left. Heyo, it is DRG.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't make any predictions for this one because DRG taking the first map probably wouldn't have been a. Now we've seen him play, though. That was the big question. How well is DRG playing? And he is playing damn well.
Yeah. What a defense.
Consider me excited.
Yeah, man. Great creep spread. Great attack patterns. He was prepped with everything. I mean, we saw early in the game, for example, he had set up that Ling run by. And this was a really interesting thing. He'd set up that Ling run by. So as soon as FanTaSy pushed out with his +1 timing, as soon as DRG saw him hit the creep, the Ling run by happened. He immediately saw that the doors were, the supply depots were raised. And rather than like trying to peck away at the supply depots and get some work done or something, DRG immediately returned those Zerglings back home and got us around and picked off FanTaSy's first 2 tanks on the high ground. It was a very disciplined play from DRG because a lot of players will, go to great lengths to try and knock down that wall. But DRG had the wherewithal to be able to say, no, I'm going to come back home. I'm going to do certain damage, catch his tanks by surprise.
Yeah, that was a great use of those Lings out on the map. Counterattack didn't work. He just used them to clean up. And it went very, very well for him. Look at this, though. A bit of mind games going on here and a bit of anticipation. DongRaeGu gone for the early spawning pool, so trying to catch FanTaSy off guard a little bit. FanTaSy, though, SCV Scout. Beautiful play. If you're a Terran and you don't SCV Scout, you deserve to lose.
That's absolutely right. You deserve to lose, nerd.
Yeah.
Ooh, the Zerglings are going to catch this, though. Hang on.
I mean, the SCV has already confirmed that FanTaSy needs to keep his Reaper at home, which is the main job of it. But, no, yeah. Beautiful play by FanTaSy. Just, always SCV Scout and TvZ, in my opinion. You cannot underestimate those early pools. Particularly if you're not good at the game like me. or what I meant was bad at the game like me.
Sure.
It's a lot easier if you're a Terran. And then you don't have to worry about doing like that, oh, I got the 1 Marine, I'm going to pull 6 SCVs to deal with this early pool. No, you just keep your Reaper at home because your SCVs got your back going for the Scout. Because unlike if you're someone like me having that 1 extra Marine to control, that's too much. I can't do it.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, more than 10 APM, and I'm like, hang on. I'm like, have you ever seen like an old person type on a keyboard with like 2 fingers? That's like me playing StarCraft. I'm like, now where's the C button again? Oh, that one. Click.
Yeah.
That's pretty much my play style.
Six Zerglings run into your natural. It's like, yep, those are some Zerglings, all right.
It's a Zergling, Lester. 1-1-1 from FanTaSy, but he is getting that 3rd command center out a little bit earlier, which is nice. He scouts the 3rd down from DRG, and that Reaper's still being a little bit annoying.
Third.
But
faster 3rd for the Terran than the Zerg.
That's nice. That's a really nice play.
Yeah, although FanTaSy went for a quick 3rd in the previous game, and DongRaeGu, he just macroed up himself. He was just like, all right, I'm droning. What's she gonna do?
That's a good point.
Oh, this 1 drone gets saved by DRG. Nicely done. And there's that new-sized carapace on the way once again. So he wants that scout. He's going to spot this third CC most likely. And then it's just going to be a free ticket for DongRaeGu to drone. Except for the fact that there's a fusion core on the way for FanTaSy.
Womp womp. Here we were, hoping for another DRG. But now we see how he's going to respond to the newest meta, battle cruisers. Surely that's not for Liberator range, right?
Yeah, surely not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe FanTaSy's like, hey, there's actually broken Liberator spots on this map, which for all we know there is. But probably for that BC. Yeah, DRG, I mean, he's been back for a fair while now, and Terrans have actually been BC rushing a disgustingly long time.
That's true.
It was like a year or two ago in which like, oh, look at this, Terrans are BC rushing. This will be gone in a week. And it's still ongoing. DRG, does he spot the fusion core? No, he didn't. So that hurts himself a little bit. He did spot the tech lab on the starport afterwards, but that's not really enough to know that it's a BC rush.
Yeah, I'm interested if he'll be able to sniff it out either way. I mean, because only 3 production buildings down is a bit of a head scratcher, even with that third command center on the way. Normally with the third command center, one of your common follow-ups is to go for 3 barracks behind. To go with 3 barracks behind that. So not seeing all those extra barracks out may raise one of DRG's eyebrows, but I'm not sure if he's going to be experienced enough or practiced enough to know it's going to be a battle cruiser with a mech follow-up. So you're getting you got your wish in game number 1, and now in DRG is going to see a lot more confusing play.
Yeah, it is indeed mech time here. Looks like FanTaSy trying to poke and prod with his Hellions. He picked off 1 queen for 1 Hellion, so an alright trade there, but nothing too significant. Oh man, this mech does have me a little bit concerned for DongRaeGu. The fact that his early pool didn't do anything. Not a massive commitment or anything like that, but still significant. It could be enough to set him back, and if this BC gets some work done, it's going to really hurt for DongRaeGu. Look at this, though. I mean, he does have a good amount of queens in his main base. He's getting up spores at every base. Does it really just depend on where this battlecruiser teleports in as to how the hold is?
I don't want to be too confident about it, but in my experience casting these games with battlecruisers, it depends almost entirely. If the Terran player teleports in, if they drive their battlecruiser all around the map to teleport back out safely, and where they port in, there it is.
I think
good
FanTaSy
choice there by FanTaSy.
Pretty nicely. Those queens, they got to waddle a long way, and if you've ever seen queens waddle, it is not particularly quick. Here they are, though. Here to back up their pal here. And this BC, 2 drone kills. And getting shooed away.
Wow, not the damage that he wanted. But importantly, FanTaSy keeps it alive as far as I can tell.
Absolutely.
And has a second one behind this with Yamato cannon. So with the Hellions behind it to cause some damage, or to at least cause some consternation for DRG.
From DRG.
Yeah,
preventing those Hellions getting on in. It just shows that he's playing at a very high level. And shutting down that BC. More Hellions going to try and dive on in. There's Lings waiting at this base, though. So FanTaSy is not getting anything done versus DRG so far.
Yeah, that's really nice. Now, DRG had started the Spire before that battlecruiser was out.
He did, yeah.
I think he probably wanted to go with Mutalisks here, but now that he's seen the battlecruiser out, he's gone for 8 Corruptors instead. How quickly does he go to Greater Spire? Does he rush to it, or does he take his time, get some more roaches out, and eventually get up to those Broodlords?
That's a very good question. It really depends what the Terran's doing in a sense, because for all we know, FanTaSy's just going to keep trickling out these BCs, and we could very well just see him go up to 3 or 4, maybe just keep making BCs, and then just continuously poke and prod DRG. Now, this is a point I want to make when it comes to Zerg's defending versus battlecruisers. DRG has 8 Corruptors. 8 Corruptors is enough to kill maybe 1 or 2 battlecruisers, but the BCs, they can just Yamato and teleport out. And so things can get out of hand if you're a Zerg, if you just sort of like, oh, I got a few Corruptors, I'm safe. And then suddenly if there's just 1 or 2 too many BCs and Yamato cannons, then your Corruptors can all just sort of lose the battle and put you in an awkward spot. But
that's a really good observation.
DRG, just a lot of roaches, a lot of Lings. Could be planning a big attack here versus FanTaSy.
Yeah, let's see what FanTaSy has back at home here. A couple tanks that are nicely spread. A bit of mech, but yeah, not maybe as much as you'd like. Now there are some good numbers of tanks on the map, which will do fairly well against the roaches and ravagers. But with some good Ravager
only
bios,
2 tanks out.
Oh my god,
This could actually just be a kill from DongRaeGu right now.
Look at the army supply too. I didn't even look down. DongRaeGu already maxed.
This is so many roaches. This is disgusting. DongRaeGu just charging on in. FanTaSy's got a pseudo wall going on, but it is not enough. This is just so much Zerg here crashing on in. I say good luck to FanTaSy trying to deal with this. He might be able to win the air fight since there was only 8 Corruptors for the Zerg and the Yamato cannons helping out. But, I mean, there can be Corrosive Bile, and there's just so much Zerg that's going to have to be cleaned up anyway. Corrosive Bile's going down. SCV is dying in droves now. Third base forced to lift. These supply depots probably going to go down, and DRG is just looking to pick off some of these battle cruisers as well.
I mean, at this point, I'm expecting... This reminds me of like a freaking Harlem Globetrotters game where DRG is just going to corrosive bile down one of the battle cruisers right after it teleports out or something. FanTaSy looking like a player from the Generals here. Look at this, corrosive bile's going to hit a battle.
Oh man!
Yes! What a play by DongRaeGu.
GG DRG 2-0 lead. All right. Like I was memeing at first, but like DRG is like I was memeing about like DRG is in fantastic form. FanTaSy is no slouch. DRG has got a 2-0 lead.
Dude, DRG is killing it. 2 absolute stomps this game so far. What is going on?
I did not expect FanTaSy or DRG to make it out first place in this group. Not necessarily make it out of the group. And he could be coming out just in a comfy first place here.
This is so freaking good. I can't. No one. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, LaughNgamez, but I will speak for everyone watching. No one would have said DRG 3-0. No one.
No.
Right?
Myself really included in that. I maybe thought FanTaSy 3-0, but after that first game, and DongRaeGu's just carrying it forward, he's just like, yeah, it's all good.
Unreal.
I had to wait a little bit. Zest didn't show up. Thanks. And all right, yeah, let's just jump on into the next game. Let's see. Can he do the 3-0? Do you believe?
On Ephemeron? Absolutely I do. One burrowed Baneling hit is going to change the course of history.
One burrowed Baneling, you think?
Well, on these, because Ephemeron has these tiny little, the map is connected by like tiny little bridges.
Oh,
so there are
I
2 or 3 bridges that connect this map. And if you can like burrow 1 or 2 Banelings on those maps, which God, I hope he burrows some Banelings on these maps, you can destroy everything that the Terran has to offer.
Honestly, I'm just going to sit back and let DongRaeGu do his thing because it's working for him. And here we are, though, spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map. He's suddenly like, what's going on? Spawning, it's FanTaSy.
And in the top left corner of the map, in the red, playing for Team Afreeca, it is DRG!
Man, this is exciting stuff. Because DongRaeGu, it's like, oh, maybe he's just going to stop playing. He failed to qualify for the GSL. And so it's like, okay, maybe that's all it takes for him to be like, okay, I'm done with I had another run at being a pro gamer. Nope. He's just like, all right, keeping on playing. And now he's looking to win some bucks in Afreeca World. He wins this next map. He makes it into the round of 4, which I honestly didn't expect. Not like this, anyway. And yeah, I love the fact that he is going to be cheesing again.
I was a little worried because I didn't think DRG was going to be a good professional Fortnite player. His hair isn't some crazy blue color. I haven't seen him play an FPS in a while, but you know, when StarCraft 2 pros retire, that's really the only thing. You either coach a League of Legends team, or you just go professional Fortnite streamer, or play poker. Right. And I don't know if DRG has enough like cool mirrored sunglasses to play poker. So good to see him absolutely cranking through. Setting up on game number 3 with the same build we saw the last 2 games, going for pool first into hatch. Or sorry, he went hatch first in game 1. Same build as last game, though.
Looks like FanTaSy is going to be SCV scouting again, though, so I love this. But that's why DRG is doing the non-super committed version of this. We saw DRG, he just macroed up with pretty much perfect defense, and then he just killed FanTaSy.
Right.
So
right.
Even though that FanTaSy is SCV scouting this again, I don't feel like I'm not concerned for DRG, since it's not that big of a commitment, it would seem.
Definitely not. It's not like he 12 pooled and he's getting caught by surprise. DRG in a really good spot here, even scouting out with some of the Zerglings to check for some of the common proxy locations.
Yeah.
Look at how cautious he's being.
Just the decision to bring these back as well instead of just sacking them or anything, because he knows that FanTaSy has a Reaper out on the map that will be looking for these. He's like, I'll just save them for later. It's all good.
Yeah. Very wise. So DRG getting more queens out, which is great. I cast a lot of like Silver League games on my channel, and I always get frustrated with Zerg players who make 1 queen per hatchery. So it's so nice to watch pro games when they're like making the right amount of queens, actually spreading creep, connecting those bases, and ooh, fancy going for an engineering bay block at that third.
Oh,
that
I
might throw DRG off his. Yeah, that's gonna throw DRG off his rhythm.
What does he do? Because there's no other good expansion locations on this map. Like this is your one, and this is a full block by FanTaSy here.
Full commitment. That's gonna take forever to peck down.
DRG just drones up, maybe starts another queen or something, and yeah, just makes a round of drones if he can.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at how careful FanTaSy's being. He's got the bunker added on back home because one of the other options for the Zerg player is, of course, or did he cancel that bunker? He canceled his bunker.
Did, yeah.
Okay, never mind then. He was being very cautious, I think, now that he's only seen
look at that. The Reaper came in to try and pick off that drone.
Wow, that's going to set DRG way back, getting the...
Oh, and he gets it down. Though. FanTaSy not quite able to get that off. He got a bit of a delay due to the eBay. Keep in mind, though, that was 125 mineral commitment from the Terran player.
Sure.
And Pneumatized Carapace is now on the way for FanTaSy, and that's definitely interesting because look at what FanTaSy's producing. As he's going for Marauders, no concussive shell or anything like that, but he's also making Vikings and then he's making Hellions. This could very well turn into like a push build coming out of DRG.
LaughNgamez, why the hell is FanTaSy making Marauders right now?
He's got to be going for a push, like a Marauder Hellbat push. Because he's throwing up an armory, he's making a medivac. There's no concussive shell. There we go. Concussive shell starts just now. Pneumatized Carapace will be finishing up relatively soon. And now that it's done, this can actually be scouted out here by DongRaeGu. And if he just sees the Marauders, he sees the research going down. Does he spot the Marauders or anything like that? It's tough to say what he sees. I think he might have glimpsed a Marauder or two. Does DRG know that this heavy aggression is coming his way?
Well, he's going to let that third finish up, I think. We see him adding on double evolution chambers as well. Ooh, I don't know if he's prepped. Those evolution chambers aren't a wall or anything either.
He's making 3 queens at a time right now. So the queens definitely will help with this. There's a ton of Hellions, though. Here goes the queens are going to try and body block these Hellions before they get on in. Lings are coming in, but suddenly those aren't just Hellions. They're now Hellbats. DRG has to run away. He has Lings that are going for a counterattack, though, at the natural base. SCVs are fighting on the ramp, doing the best they can to hold this choke. So aggression going down on both fronts. DRG just trying to retreat now. He's got Lings in a pretty okay choke point because these queens are just dealing a lot of damage while the Lings buffer. So that's going okay for him over these Hellbats, and Marauders now starting to close the gap a little bit.
Yeah, luckily a lot of queens still alive for DRG here. DRG defending incredibly well. Being a choke. I was wrong. He's using them, but he's running out of queens. He's running out of transfuses.
Another queen waddles forward. The medivac's going to go down, so that's going to be the end of that healing potential there, although queens are now starting to fall. It's just Lings rallying out. Is there enough for DRG to hold on? 3 drones have gone down so far, but that's not too many. Oh, is it going to snowball?
This is key, though. Check it out. He's picked off almost all the Hellbats, so now all the Lings that are coming out are just up against Marauders. And, any reinforcing Hellbats that come in. So 16 more Zerglings should be able to get right on top of these Hellions, and I think DRG has held this.
Does he hold?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
FanTaSy's got to retreat here.
Look at
Queens
this.
coming out, more Zerglings. 1-1 on the way. DRG has held this with aplomb, and he is in such a good position.
He's doing it. He's fucking doing it.
Unbelievable. The Queen's going out to the edge of, as if to say, get off my lawn, young buck. Get out of here. I think FanTaSy's older than DRG, but it doesn't matter.
I have no idea, to be honest, but oh my god.
What a hold. 1-1 on the way for DRG. FanTaSy starting his stim, classic 6.5-minute stim timing, trying to scrub in more barracks.
Oh
but this
gosh,
could be
what a god.
Amazing for DRG. Oh, I'm so jazzed.
What a god.
Lair tech on the way.
Oh my god. Okay. That was mighty close there. These Marauders and that Marauder and Marine having a bad time. And now DRG is just like, alright, just pick those off. If he had a Baneling Nest, I'd say he could maybe try and go for something like that. But he never did make that. Keep in mind, he made that entire hold with just Lings and Queens.
Yeah, and that's good. That's one area that we're going to see DRG with a little bit of weakness right now, is that he doesn't really have any tech buildings up. He's got his lair almost finished, but he's adding on pretty much nothing but, well, he's adding on another big round of drones right now.
Yeah.
Taking up to about 62 drones. But yeah, no other tech buildings so far.
This could be a nice pick-off here, potentially, for FanTaSy if he transforms those Hellions, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certain he's going to force a cancel here.
Yeah, okay, that's a nice move there.
Yeah, not bad. And as you said earlier in the game, it's very difficult for DRG to defend against this because there's no easily defensible fourth base of this map. So forces the cancel, forces the replant of that base, but the Zerglings now attacking the third base of FanTaSy, where he has nothing to stop that.
All Liberator, forcing mining time to be lost. That Spore Crawler has to reposition, being a giant pain for the Zerg player there. Liberator's almost down on HP though, so it should be getting cleaned on up, and it looks like it will go down. Third base forced to lift off by DRG.
Big run by at the third base.
Oh, this is a lot of drone damage getting done right now.
Oh, no.
Oh, there's nothing at the third base to defend. These drones are having to run to the queens at the fourth. That was 20 drones that just died there.
Oh, man. If there was a chink in DRG's armor, that was it. FanTaSy
that really hurts there.
Way off at the fourth base. The queens, though, coming back to defend against this. 23 drones, bringing DRG's drone count down to equal with FanTaSy.
FanTaSy showing that he is that he's not just keeling over and dying just because DRG is looking a little hot. So getting 25 drones for those Hellions, an absolutely fantastic amount of damage. That just set the Zerg player back so far. FanTaSy has his third base done, so he's going to be able to get that up. Lings charging on up here. They do have an upgrade advantage, but that is far too many tanks for the Terran. And DRG going to be in a bit of a tough spot here, I feel. I mean, losing those drones, he probably would have been at like 70 drones by now and could just be making... could be on a much healthier economy if he hadn't lost those, but...
Yeah, for sure. Now, he does have a macro hatch up in his main. He's got his fourth base down, so he should have plenty of larva when he needs to remax, because we see he's sticking to this Zergling Baneling style, which is, of course, very larva-intensive. But, man, like I said, I mean, look at these, the bridges that the bio is crossing there. A couple good base hits on those
beautiful for the Terran to potentially use here. The fourth base is going to be under fire. Queens here, they're going to be able to help buffer a little bit, and there's not too much supply here for FanTaSy. Can DRG clean this up, though, as he's got Lings running in at a bit of an odd time, though. I don't know if he's going to be able to handle this. Upgrades are even. Queens are starting to go down, and that's it. GG FanTaSy not going down without a fight.
Dang, I was hoping for the DRG 3-0.
I was hoping for the 3-0 myself. I was getting mighty hype. So we will have a game number 4 on the map, Disco Bloodbath.
Yes, finally, we get to see Disco Bloodbath, my favorite map. Can I talk about 2 quick things in that map as we're getting the next one loaded up?
Absolutely. Let's hear it.
DRG was winning that game 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
2 things happened that caused him to lose that game 100%. One, that massive run by where his queens were way off creep trying to defend the fourth base, and FanTaSy was smart enough to see, okay, I'm going to come around with my Hellions, get into the third base, and drone barbecue everywhere. That was his first mistake. DRG's second mistake was that engagement at the end of the game. We saw him waddling forward with slow Banelings, and what he tried to do was, and then we've seen him do this before, where you bring the Zerglings in behind the tanks, so you draw the tank fire away from where like the Queens and Banelings are, and you get on top of the tanks with the Zerglings, clean up the tanks, and then push forward with the Banelings and Queens to destroy the bioforces. Unfortunately for DRG, he didn't have the critical mass of Zerglings behind, so the Marines were able to pop back, clean up the Zerglings, the tanks were still alive, and then they still had the DPS to finish it off.
I think it was absolutely just that Hellion run by that killed DRG. There's no doubt about it. He was just rebuilding his economy. And then 20 drones, just... that was a few too many. Quite a few too many, as a matter of fact. Here we are, though. Series isn't over yet. For those of you that have just had your heart won by DRG, like I think we did, he's still got opportunity to close it out. It's DongRaeGu.
And his opponent not going down without a fight. Currently down 2. In the red, it is player 1, FanTaSy.
I'm such fans of both of these guys, so I'm really not bothered at all of the result. I mean, FanTaSy recently looking very, 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 very motivated to play the game, and then DRG just coming out. He's just coming out looking really, really good, which is very exciting. I'm such a fan of like old StarCraft 2 players, just to see whether they can do it. Like you say the big names, and I'm probably a fan of them, like Tasia, Parding, DongRaeGu, FanTaSy, and there's a plethora of other ones. But those guys, just seeing them come back and play, Bomber is also in there. It's just really exciting for someone like me, and seeing both DRG and FanTaSy looking good. It's just fantastic.
It really is. And, you know, even though we haven't seen any of these guys, I mean, the big thing we're talking about here, right, is military service.
Absolutely.
When the pro players hit the height and then they've got to take that roughly 1.5, 2 year break to serve their country, which is great that they get the opportunity to do that. But it's really frustrating for us as fans to see them disappear from the scene and come back. And what the StarCraft 2 scene hasn't really seen yet, what we haven't experienced, is a professional player who's able to go do their military service and then come back and play at the highest levels of StarCraft 2 play yet. We've seen some players doing well. I mean, Keen just made it into the round of 16 for the GSL on Wednesday, but we have not seen a player return from the military and like win the GSL or even get to the top 4 of the GSL. So it's great to see so many of these names who are now starting to filter through past their military service and then put on a really good show and show us that, you know, all hope is not lost. And they can sort of complete that transformation from Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White and become more powerful than they were after their trials.
I think, yeah, who is the closest that we've had to do something like that?
I think it's Keen right now. He's made it to the round of 8. I think that's the furthest
Has
any
Keen done his
guy.
military service? I don't think he has he?
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, he's leaving to do it, I thought, soon.
Ah, that's right. Gosh, who would it be then?
I think it might be FanTaSy, because he just came back, but he made a round of 16.
That might be the furthest anybody's gotten in the GSL.
I know there's definitely been like 1 or 2 round of 16s, but as far as anything beyond that, I am not too sure.
Here, let me take a break. Let me tweet at GSL Code S Facts. See if they know. That guy,
of course they know.
That guy is amazing. He has amazing tweets. I love him so much.
GSL Code S Facts, for those of you unaware. It's a fantastic just Twitter account that tweet. GSL's been running a long time, so there's a lot of history. It is, you can find out, like, a lot of cool stats just coming out of that Twitter account. You'll be browsing Twitter one day, I'm like, oh, that's really neat. Kind of crazy, but neat.
Right?
Someone's in their 97th Code S in a row.
Stop talking about Dark. It's really interesting. I always love. Are you familiar of Moneyball?
Moneyball.
Yes.
I am not. No.
Okay. Oh, you're a Canadian, so this is an American baseball thing.
Oh, okay.
Just really quickly, update on the game. 3rd command center, 3rd hatchery, all sort of normal play, nothing really to discuss. So I'm going to talk about Moneyball for a minute, if that's okay.
Let's hear it.
It's this concept in American baseball where if you do like a statistical analysis of how to purchase players and how to buy like assets for your team, that's more effective. Because in the old days, like baseball scouts would be like, oh, he's got a pretty girlfriend, so he must have a lot of confidence on the plate. We should pick him up because I bet he's a good hitter. Or, oh, he looks like an All-American. He's got big, strong biceps, so I bet he can throw the ball real far. And that's like how they would choose players.
Okay.
And then in the 1990s, there was a guy named Billy Bean who hooked up with this statistical analysis guy from Yale, I believe. And the guy was like, what the hell are you guys doing picking players based on how pretty their girlfriend is and how strong their arms are? Look at their numbers. Look at their hits. Look at their runs. Look at their base on balls. Look at how much they get walked. It was all these stats that nobody looked at before. And because baseball records are famously meticulous and there are thousands and thousands of games to look at, you can get really impressive statistical analyses of how these players are doing. So I'm really excited as StarCraft goes on and we start harvesting more and more data from all of these games. And we can say, like, look, players who spend that extra money spend that extra queen energy on 5 creep tumors instead of 5 transfuses have a 20% more likely chance to win the game. So Zerg players try and get those tumors down. It's more important. And I think we're seeing that more and more as the game goes on. So with the old players returning, I'm excited to see like what stats we pull for them and see what tiny changes they make to their gameplay to really make, you know, those incremental changes that make the game so much more efficient and so much more fluid.
Their willingness to adapt in a sense.
Absolutely. What is really valuable in the game and a Baneling good when really maybe it's better to wait.
Speaking of
double
that,
drop,
FanTaSy's about to come in with what looks to be a sick timing. He's got Hellions and a bunch of stimmed Marines, and he's going to be looking to put the hurt on DRG. He's just losing a queen here. He's got a ton of Lings here, but the Hellions are going to cause a world of trouble. Full wraparound from the Lings. They're starting to work away on this unit count, but DRG is wearing thin here. Suddenly, it's looking bad for the Zerg player here. FanTaSy, I mean, we pretty much just gabbed away the first few minutes of that game. All this was going on in the background leading up to this attack here. Now in comes FanTaSy. Hellions, Marines, Queens are going to try and focus down those medivacs, force this bio away. Another stim goes down, softening it up, but DRG, he realizes that he still needs some more units. He's going to have 1-1 finishing up in just a second here, so those upgraded lings may be able to get the job done.
What a great push from FanTaSy, though. We saw what happened there was just critical mass. You know, DRG didn't quite have enough lings and queens to make that work. FanTaSy able to pick off a couple queens early in that push, and that's really going to hurt it. DRG going for the run by, though, the counterattack. This actually might do some good damage, but if it comes down to a base trade, I've got a lot of money invested here in FanTaSy.
Never base trade a Terran. And look at this. Yeah, DRG, he committed to this counterattack, but that was basically just saying, go ahead, FanTaSy, kill my 4th base. So that is now gone, and DRG, does he have enough units back at home to defend since he sent those lings across the map? I mean, he's doing some good damage at the 3rd base, but can he defend his own? He's got some lings, he's got some banes. I don't know if it's enough, though. Queen's trying to do the best they can. The buffer, Marines being pushed back. Friendly fire on that Widowmine, killing so many of FanTaSy's Marines there, and that might have just been what DRG needed to hold on. The 3rd base of FanTaSy was actually killed off. He did not lift it, and that is a massive, massive blow by DongRaeGu.
Wow, what on earth? I was watching that entire engagement thinking, oh man, FanTaSy going to end this game. DRG washed up, won 2 free games, and then FanTaSy showed us who's truly a better player. But what a great play by DRG to go for the counterattack, commit to it, and then honestly, what a solid mistake there from FanTaSy to let that 3rd base go down.
Yeah, solid mistake indeed. I mean, the worker count was pretty equal, but now DRG, he's securing a 4th base. FanTaSy's going to have to spend a lot of time rebuilding, because that's going to take so much wind out of his sails. FanTaSy really could have just continued the game on as normal had he not lost that base, but since it went down, he's in a very tough spot. Spore Crawler's going to be finishing up at this location, going to zone out those medivacs. This Overlord helping out with that scout.
Yeah, good map awareness there by DRG. Good positioning by those Overlords. He's got them in good places to again, scout those drops and prevent them. But FanTaSy not giving up. He's going to try and move this drop into the main. There are a couple Zerglings, Queen, and the Spore Crawlers waiting here for it, so not going to find any value there. DRG defending with aplomb here, but FanTaSy setting up for a counter on what could be the 4th, or what he thinks the 4th base is. But he'll actually have to run up into this already damaged 3rd.
Is there anything to scout this? The creep isn't really kind of here at that 4th base, so FanTaSy is coming on in. Looks like DRG has sniffed it out. A couple of scouting lings maybe doing the job there, so he is going to be able to push forward. Got to avoid those Widow Mines if he can. Good split so far, baiting those out. The mines get shut down. FanTaSy gets pushed back, so just wonderful play here from DongRaeGu. He's so good with his defense for the most part, it would seem, and that's very, very important to being a good Zerg player.
Yeah, FanTaSy's trying to put on this double-pronged harass with the drop that we see on screen and the drop at the 3 o'clock position, which has just been sitting there for a full minute maybe. I think he might be trying to bait DRG up in... Oh, God.
Look at that, though. Beautiful dodge by DRG. He's just... Oh, man. Well, that in itself was a mistake. He's doing a great job here.
Yeah, honestly, some great splitting from DRG, who's now transitioned into this play that served him so well in game number 1. 76 drones, that's exactly where he wants to be, even as his 5th base on the way. Adding on more Mutalisks to this flock as well.
DRG just going to go for a kill move again. He is heavily up on supply. For the next 10 seconds, he's got himself an upgrade lead, so he can go for it. Banelings crash through that wall. Lings and Muta's going to try and spill forward. There's a few Banes in the mix to try and just really chase that bio away. A lot of mines going off on the Mutas, though, but SCVs are dying regardless. How's this going to play out in the end? In the end, it does look like DRG still up on supply, knocked FanTaSy down in the worker count, and kept most of his mutas alive, so I think that was definitely worth it for the Zerg player.
Yeah, I think we saw DRG with just not quite enough Banelings to make a difference. He used almost all of Banelings to drive down those supply depots, which is great. Forces the Terran to build some more supply depots, which they don't want to do, but doesn't leave anything left over to take out big clumps of Marines. But yeah, he did work down that missile turret, and that's going to allow the Mutalisks a lot more play going up into the main. Ooh, he's even got enough Mutalisks to just take that missile turret down. Oh, the mass repair is too real,
mass
though.
Repair is good.
Good save by FanTaSy.
DRG now going to try and force these Marines back. Just a couple of Banelings for the zoning. Lots of friendly fire going down once again. This is a beautiful, beautiful choke point for FanTaSy, but he does have to end up evacuating, and the Mute is able to punish these medivacs. FanTaSy just can't get out for free. He's going to lose these medivacs, and so he's going to lose all the Marines here, and that is looking very good for the Zerg, resetting the Terran army.
Yeah, now the big concern for me, as always, when you see a Zerg player on Lingbane Muta, is that drilling Clawed Widow Mines are on the way. This means that one slip up, one mistake, one error from DRG could be the end of his dominance in a game. One good Widow Mine hit can change the course of history. So we've got to stay on the edge of our seats here and pray that if you want DRG to win, that he can feel the confidence and have the map awareness to avoid those Widow Mine hits.
Absolutely. Now, DRG is just continuously poking with his Mutalisk so far. Overseer going to have a bad time there. He's going to get picked off. Now, you were talking about these Widow Mines, and that count is starting to grow for FanTaSy, making 3 at a time, and Widow Mines build so quickly. They were patched a while ago that they just build. They are just lightning with how quick they burrow.
I mean, look at that expansion on screen. There are 5 Widow Mines at the base of that expansion.
They may be a little bit too pumped up, but we'll see. Baneling's now starting to roll forward as DongRaeGu once again going for another attack. Is there an Overseer with this army? Yes, there is. Widow Mine's going to be getting shots off all over the place. And Mutas could be having a bad time here. Massive Widow Mine connections go off, but there's still standing Zerg, and doesn't look like there's a lot of standing Terran. Has DRG just 3-1 FanTaSy?
I can't believe my eyes, but I'm afraid I have to. Yeah, Zerglings, Banelings into the natural. Those mine hits really actually unlucky for FanTaSy. Look at that Mutalisk flock, like 37 Mutalisks with 1 health each. They've got more kills on them than they do health. But with his production facilities overrun, I think FanTaSy is sort of processing this loss. Again, a nice Widow Mine hit, but there's the GG. And DongRaeGu takes it.
He just
3-1.
And he's out.